Not only does Jared have to make it, but he also has to beat Brent's time of 11 and a half hours.
Been all over him all day.
All day long.
All right, stand up.
Why are you in my country?
All right, guys, we are live. Good evening, grunts. Welcome to episode 8, live chat Q&A with the contestants, SERE Challenge Season 2. Get your questions down there below. Let me know how you're enjoying this one. Let's bring in the guys. What's up, guys? Hurrah! All right, so we're showing off Brent's tracking, hunting, and OP skills. How's it working out for you so far?
Pretty good until he doglegged on me. Started going the opposite direction than what I was expecting, and it happens.
Yeah, I purposely left that in there just to show what you're going through. I mentioned it, but I saw in the comments a couple people missed it. The Survivor gets very limited updates. So what you guys saw, what I did with Jared when I was down there on the ground with him, that was special. But they don't get like a distance and direction to where the hunter is. So it's and I didn't know Brent was thinking that. So I just let him keep believing that. So that's good. There's a lot of psyops going on out there on the ground between these guys. So I'm glad that popped up multiple times because you have to kind of try to anticipate what the guy is doing. You know, we have enemy courses of action and we have our own. So I think we're showing that off pretty well. So Jared's climbed almost 1,500 feet now. So how's your legs feeling at this point?
They're getting pretty tired. My whole body's getting tired at that point. You know, I've been up for over 48 hours now, I think, or close to it. And you know, my whole body's just hurting and legs are hurting, you know, but I just keep pushing through as best I can. Of course, I got slowed down and in those manzanitas. They really slowed me down. I was making some really good progress there for the first couple hours that morning. And right before Brent set up that first LPOP, I got into those manzanitas down in that ravine there, that ditch, or drainage ditch or whatever it is coming down the side of that hill, and where you met me at, and it was just thick as hell there. And had to get on my belly and crawl backwards through it, and it just really slowed me down a lot.
Yeah, it's tough, man. That's going to be the joke of this entire show forever, is the manzanitas always win first place. So here's a question for you, Jared. How much water did you have left at the end of this episode? By the way, he doesn't get refilled, guys.
So at this point, I'm guessing it's around 10 o'clock in the morning or so. We're a couple hours into it. I have not had anything to drink yet, so I still have a full canteen at that point. I was anticipating going throughout the night, and I was just trying to save as much as I could for later on when I really needed it. So I haven't had anything to drink at this point.
All right. Yeah, I thought I had a clip of you chugging some. Maybe you were chugging something else.
I don't know. It looked like you guys were having tea party over there in this episode. Hey, Jared, if I could just explain before we get to this next question, like why I thought he was going to be going northwest instead of, like east or northeast towards the extraction. And the reason for that is because you have that main road that not only like the Grunt Proof headquarters is on, but just constantly throughout the day, you have the scouts and the other vehicle traffic just going up and down that the whole time. So I thought that because of all that traffic, it was, and plus the enemy intel updates were kind of confirming that, right? It was like, 600 meters, 500 meters, 300 meters in that direction, like to my southwest. So it just seemed logical to me that he was not going to travel or cross that main road because of all that vehicle traffic, because it was so dangerous. So I was convinced that he was going to take that northwest route and try to skirt up around those big hills and then make his way towards extraction after that.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty good strategy. And your first two OPs were about as best as you could get. And so trying to assume where he was going to come, like if I wouldn't have turned Jared around, I didn't turn him around because you were sitting up there, because I didn't want him to know you were up there. But that was part of his perk. I was like, dude, you ain't fucking getting up there if you keep going that way. So, but it was also kind of a double-edged sword, because he had to cross back over that danger area. And then, I showed after he crossed, he had at least another 100 feet, 150 feet of pretty much wide open. And he has no idea where you're sitting. So this guy's asking, will there be more emphasis on showing the travel lines of both guys? So, yeah, and he says that helps the viewer out. That's why I put that in there this time. And yeah, there's going to be points where I keep throwing that up there. Like at the end of the next coming episodes, it'll be up there. I just didn't want to throw it up like every 5 minutes with those quick updates because I felt like it crowded the map. But I'm glad that's helping you guys out. I had somebody else the other day telling me it was cool to see the compass pop up on there because when I would go back and watch the first season, even though I built it, I was still kind of confused. So hopefully that helps. We got a bunch of questions popping up. So Jared, what's your strategy on crossing that road? That's what we call a danger area. I put in there that you paused a little bit, but what's going through your mind once you get up to it, and what's your tactics?
So after you and I met up down there in that thick manzanita, I went back south, back towards the road, and then the drone was flying around. There was all kinds of vehicle traffic on the road. I knew it was right there, but it was so thick down in there, I wasn't too worried about getting spotted. So after you and I parted ways right there, I went about 3/4 of the way up the hill towards the road, and I just sat there for, I don't know, half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour or so, just doing my stills check, stopping and looking and listening and everything. So
did you hear our activity on the road?
I could hear the road was right there. It was within, I don't know, 30 meters of me or so. I was just down over the hill about 30 meters from the road.
Did you hear any of our radio traffic or people screwing around? Because you crossed pretty close to the truck.
Yeah, so when I did cross the road, I was going southwest, south, whatever. Off to my right-hand side, I was able to see the HQ truck right down there, I don't know, 50 yards, 75 yards down there. And I didn't see anyone around it. And it was just a chance I had to take. When I went up to the edge of the road at first, I couldn't see it. I didn't see it until I actually stepped out onto the road. And so I just crossed as quickly as I could and just hoped for the best at that point.
All right. So here's another question. Phoenix, are you guys using any special optics during this exercise, FLIR or thermal? If so, Brent, I'll let you take this one since you're hooked up on that. If so, how effective are they during the day as opposed to nighttime?
Well, in terms of this challenge, the only special optics I had were some binos that Jared gave me, and then I had a PVS 14 for night operations. No flare or anything like that. I had asked about bringing a thermal for the challenge, and then I was told that if I brought it, the Jared would get to use it too when he was the hunter. So I was like, no thanks. I'll take my chances. Thermal isn't, in my opinion, thermal's significantly less effective during the day just because the ground's so hot. It's more effective at night, but still, even out in that environment, there's so much vegetation that I still think it would be a significant challenge, even with the assistance of a thermal. So I would like to see a thermal introduced in the future. I think it would make it more interesting. But I don't think people think like when you have a thermal, you're all of a sudden like the fucking T-1000 Terminator, and it's just not the case. You know, and the example I use is like, think of the footage you see of an Apache gunship flying over, heavily wooded areas back at, in the States, right? Like, there's significant wildlife down there. There's big game down there, big deer, bears, whatever the fuck, hogs, but you don't see them in those videos, right? Of Apaches flying over, large wooded training areas. Why? Because they're underneath the canopy of the woods. So I think, like I said, I think introducing a thermal into the equation would be interesting, and it definitely adds another dynamic, but it's not the secret wonder weapon that everybody thinks it is. Still, the primary means of detection is still going to be, naked eye, probably catching the movement of somebody going around.
Yeah, I agree. We're going to implement more of that technology in the future. And so, here's another question. Jared, could you have made more northern progress instead of moving just laterally? Seems there was a good opportunity to sprint north once you gave Brent the slip and made your turn.
So after I came out of that really thick part of Manzanitas, and I was going up that hill where it was a little bit more clear, I was trying to go north. And then I stopped, and that's when I did my gear check, because I just come out of the Manzanitas and everything was just all cattywampus on me. So about that time is when I heard the drone overhead to my northeast, and so that's when I decided to head back south and go across the road there.
All right. I love these grunts, man. The guys are talking about down there buying guns and shit in the comments. That's awesome. I will allow it. All right. So this is a follow-up question for Brent with the thermal. So scrub density affects thermals? Question.
I mean, what's scrub density? Is that the amount of vegetation? If so, absolutely.
That's what I was thinking.
So just having like a big tarp, several feet above a position will camouflage you from thermal detection in most cases. So I know a lot of at One Shepherd, we had a class a couple semesters back where it was designing a cami netting for LPO piece to defend against thermals, and literally it was a mylar tarp with regular cami netting attached to the top. So like the mylar tarp helps absorb that that heat more than like a regular tarp. But just having distance, a regular tarp, like even a poncho, military issue poncho, just having distance between you and that poncho will help defeat those thermals.
Yeah, those are actually the most popular videos on my channel, is just playing with random pieces of material. And yeah, that's totally accurate. So you can defeat thermals pretty easily as long as you're not touching that thing and warming it up. But you also have to think about the human eye and night vision. So like a lot of the stuff I tested, they were all very reflective. So some any kind of decent IR light would have been like a spotlight out there. All right. So, Jared, your pace is kind of slowed down a little bit. You want to go into what's going on there and what's your strategy once you've crossed the road again?
Excuse me. So yeah, so at this point I've crossed the road. I'm trying to get some distance between me and the drone that were flying overhead. So I figured he was up to my north somewhere. Just assuming, because that's kind of where I heard the drone take off from and where it was operating from. And what I was trying to do is I was trying to skirt the north side of the AO prior to the drone, and that's why I was over on that area. I knew it was a little bit more clear over there from the previous day. So I was trying to skirt north to kind of stay in more of the clear area so I can continue to gain more ground. But then Brent got in my way with the drone. So that's why I went back south and went across the road. And once I got across the road, I went down there a couple hundred yards, a couple hundred meters, whatever. And then started heading. I made a 90-degree turn and started heading directly east. And then again, I hit more manzanitas. It was super thick on that south side of the road with manzanitas. So I'm pretty much in the manzanitas for the rest of the day now.
Well, I'm just going to throw this out there then. Stoker's drone, fuck me. I didn't even request that thing.
You know, kind of the bummer with this is we had drones up almost all day. And so, you know, we're just like getting shots for what people see in the episodes and stuff, like all the cool shots. But we would try to keep it at least away from the survivor so it wouldn't affect him. But both of you guys had like illegal drone flights over your head. So I figured it was fair. Because Brent, you had them kind of over you a little bit, and then Jared's, and I kind of would like put tick marks in my field notebooks, like, all right, well, he kind of got messed up on this one, so we're gonna fuck this guy on this one, or I'll allow something. You know, we got a little bit of leeway. Plus, just looking at y'all's progress, you know. So, Brent,
as a survivor, we really don't know. Whenever we hear the drone, we can hear it up there multiple times throughout the day. We don't know if it's you actually just trying to get footage or if it's the perk for the hunter, you know. So we have to assume that it's a perk for the hunter and that they're looking for us, actively looking for us.
This guy asked if you could shoot the drones. You know, I have some cheap drones we could shoot at, so I might consider handing a guy a shotgun with some bird shot and let him go to town. But so, Brent, go ahead and answer that. If you're out there as a survivor trying to win this thing, are you going to try to shoot down a drone?
No, and I remember that question coming up in an earlier live, and no, I wouldn't, because it's just me out there, right, and just trying to survive. And you shoot a drone down, or you even take shots at drone. You're just telegraphing to the enemy where you are, so you're giving him a freebie.
And then you got to shoot the team that's coming in on you pretty quickly.
Yeah. And how much ammo did you acquire when you took off?
Yeah, I'm only giving you one shell. That's it. You're gonna have to use some bayonet tactics after that. Sharpen a stick. All right. So another question: did Brent or Jared come up with any good diversion tactics to draw their opponent away from their direction of travel, so they could make significant progress to the extraction point? So either one of y'all is a survivor. Any kind of diversion tactics?
Sounds like Bill used the diversion tactics for me and got me away from Brent.
The only one I did is I dropped a deuce for Jared, thinking he'd be attracted to shit. No, I'm kidding. I didn't do anything. No.
Those surface laid landmines. Yeah, those will get you. Well, you got to remember, guys, like Brent just said, you're out there by yourself, and this is not, you know, it's kind of like a training exercise, and it's a show and all that, but it's not a game when you're out there as a survivor. Like, once you're detected, it's over. So that's kind of what I find exciting about going through these videos is these guys really put all their skills, experience, everything they know into being super careful. So like when you see these guys crawling around and, being super careful. It's because they know, that's it, man. And again, the scouts, if they hear or see anything, they can point it out and let the guy know. So yeah, you don't want to be screwing around out there.
It's not like the movies, where everybody's a super stealthy ninja out there. It's not movie. This is pretty much real life stuff. And we can't mark our movie magic out there, our movie ninja skills, that it's not reality.
Randall, I just want to throw in a couple things, because as always, comment section is like on completely different topics than what we're actually talking about. But I see a lot of comments about the Mylar tarps. Yeah, if you're just standing out there holding a Mylar tarp, then yes, it's just going to be a big square and stand out like a sore thumb. But the key is a mixture of stuff like the ones I was just talking about. One shepherd were Mylar tarps in combination with cami nettings and natural vegetation for an LPOP. So yeah, nobody goes out there and sets up a position and they just string up a Mylar tarp as their freaking thermal camouflage. Yeah, just like Randall was talking about earlier. It's combination. It's not one aspect. It's multiple things coming together to camouflage.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, Brent does a lot of infantryman stuff on his channel, like the Infantryman's Guide and all that. And this stuff is so deep. Like everything is just one component of what we actually do on the ground. So there's no one fix for everything and one solution. It's all just a combination of everything you can do. So on that note, with the thermal stuff, I'm going to continue with my tests, and I'm actually going to throw up some stuff from like our Bradley thermal sites from back in the day in Ramadi, just to show you guys how some of that stuff actually looks. So if you're curious about that, but I think a lot of it's just, people don't really know all the skills that are involved in it, and that's fine. But Brent, you kind of had a little upset on your last sit rep where you realized you had been kind of flanked a little bit. So this is kind of a chill episode, which I thought was cool because in the beginning, Jared was flying and you were racing up there this massive hill to try to get ahead of him. And then I showed in the beginning, you got to settle down a little bit, get in your OPs, drink your coffee, and probably use some more of my combat gauze. So now that you've been outflanked and you see your OP is hasn't worked out, what's going to be coming up with your strategy from there?
So unfortunately my plan didn't work out. It was initially, and then I guess because of Stoker's drone, Jared changed directions. So my plan was to my first LPOP was fantastic, and I almost wish I never left it. But I attempted to, because ultimately, even if you see the guy, you got to catch him, right? So I attempted to get in the direction of his travels. Once I got my next enemy sit rep, which was like, I think it was like 600 meters to my southwest or something like that. I thought I had him pinned on the direction he was moving. He was going north, and I tried to skirt over to intercept him in that direction of travel. And then unfortunately, my next update was, nope, he changed directions. Now he went in the complete opposite direction of what I thought he was going. And so now it's, oh shit, I've got like 600 meters between him and I, and he's moving in a completely different direction. So now I gotta book it. So I'm going to be picking up the pace again to try to get over to where he is so that I can continue to get in front of him and set up LPOPs.
Yeah. And so just a reminder, guys, that 600 meters isn't totally accurate. The hunter gets a pretty accurate direction, like his azimuth. It may be plus or minus 10 degrees. But the distance is what we'll do, like plus or minus 50 to 100 meters. So I'll let Stoker make the call on that since he's supporting the hunter. So basically, we want to get the hunter, if he wants to chase that, in line straight to the survivor if he wants. And then, it's going to be up to his actual skills once he gets in the area. So the line of thinking is if we get them within 100 to 200 meters of each other, you know, that's when the skills will kick in on the tracking and sills and all that. And just to tease it, in the next episode, you're going to see some of that come in. Brent got pretty close to Jared a lot, and you guys will see some of that stuff play out and how it actually happens. What happens? So here's another good question. What's everybody drinking tonight? It's important.
I got a Bud Light Platinum.
I got coffee.
Bud Light. Wow. I'm drinking some Johnny Walker Red. Not too fancy, but good enough.
I do want to add, so with these intel updates, like it's not just, hey, the enemy's at this, direction and distance away. It's like, you got to take the totality of the circumstances. Like for me, once I got that next enemy update before the episode ended, it's like, okay, now I know he's going towards the road. All right. Well, I have the grunt-proof COC sitting right there on the road. I've also got ATVs going up and down that road. Like, where is he most likely going to cross over? Like, obviously, he's heading in a northeastern direction now, and he's got to cross that road. But where is he going to cross the road? So those are the things that are going through my mind at this point now. Now that I know that, hey, he's dogleg, he's now going dead east, dead northeast, and towards the extraction. And I've got to catch up, and I've got to figure out, where is he likely to cross that road at, in relation to those other things. So.
Yeah, that's a good teaching point. Like, how are you making your assumptions on the survivor's movement using the terrain? So let's get into some of this OACOke stuff. Do Marines use that OACOke observation, avenues of approach, and all that?
Yeah. So when I was up there in that one LPOP where I drank my coffee, it was pretty wide open terrain. And I know you made fun of this comment, but I'm like, hey, when I was on that road and I was running up there, like I looked over and I saw it was, it's still a forest. Like there's trees everywhere, but it wasn't like they were overgrown with manzanitas, right? You could see in between them. That's why when you go back and watch that episode, you see a scene where like I actually put the GoPro behind the binoculars, and you can see in between the trees. So that's what I was referring to, and that's why I set up where I did, because I was hoping that I could see Jared moving between those trees from that LPOP. So, I'm looking at the terrain. It's more open there. At the end of the day, I'm looking for a dude in fucking camouflage, moving through the woods. It's not an easy task. So I tried to position myself where it was a more open area that I thought he was going to have to come through, that I was more likely going to be able to see him. So, I'm taking the terrain into consideration. I'm taking the position of the, grunt-proof CFC, because I'm like, what idiot is going to cross right in front of that fucking van? So,
well, Jared apparently he didn't give a shit that day.
I'm not scared.
So I remember there was a point made at some point where like Brent in one of the episodes, like Brent has underestimated Jared or something like that. And I'm like, no, I overestimated. Like nobody's going to cross in front of that freaking van.
Yeah, I don't know what we were doing when he crossed, but I remember watching him on the tracker, because anytime, we're watching it nonstop, but anytime Jared was in, or any survivor was in a risky area, we're all just kind of watching it and seeing what's happening. I'm like, yeah, he's going to cross right there. All right, cool. But, I put the overhead shot on there just to show people, like the truck, it wasn't like right in front of the truck. It was kind of like a little curve right there. So it was ballsy. But, when I got to that part in the video building this series, I was like, all right, Jared's crossing that road. I got to find that video. And I'm expecting him to like sit down and lay and do like our danger area stuff, and look and do all this and then sprint across, and he just gets up and casually walks across. I'm like, oh shit, he just did a fuck it.
What's funny is when I got that last enemy intel update, like from my position, I could see that truck on the hill, right? And I actually had video of it, and I'm like, when I got my intel update, it was like in line with the truck. right? So I'm like, well, I guess I'm just going to dead reckoning using the vehicle. So I mean, you could see it clear as day. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I just
I
assumed
put
that
that
was a
scene.
deterrent.
I'll put that scene in the next episode when you're talking
Oh,
about that. So
gotcha. Yeah, I just figured that was going to be a big deterrent for him, and it was going to funnel him, somewhere, or at least make him more cautious.
yeah, that's the whole point of having the scouts on the roads. Like we're trying to harass the guy nonstop, keep him guessing. So, Jared, this is your second day out there. Have you noticed a difference in the amount of traffic on the road and all just the noise out there, or is it kind of about the same as when you were the hunter?
I think this second day we were parallel the road for at least the first half of the day, a lot more than we were the first day. We were a lot closer to the road the second day, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, we heard, or at least I heard, a lot more road traffic than I did the first day. I do remember hearing the first day when I was the hunter, I do remember being down over a hillside, and I heard you and probably your dad talking up on a hill when I was hunting Brent. And that was probably late morning or so, but we were still pretty far south of the road at that point. And just voices carry in peculiar ways out there. Sounds in general carry very weirdly out there too.
Yeah, and on that note, I heard Randall's radio talking to you, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, well, I know Randall is guiding the survivor, and it's like he's down there on the road. He must be just like talking to him. I had no idea that he was about to go in and link up with you, right? Hey, had I known that, I would have just been like, slippery down the road and trying to curtail him, but I just figured that he was on the main road. He was stopping and just wanted like line of sight of you so he could get good comms of you. And I could hear him talking on the radio for a bit, and then that was it. I didn't move. I stayed there because I had a good position. So
right before I think it was right before Randall linked up with me is when the drone showed up. Yeah, I believe so. And then after the drone left is when Randall said he wanted to link up with me. And I was kind of frustrated at that point because I'm trying to skirt around that area, and I had just come down through that ravine where those thick ass manzanitas were. I'm like, damn it! Now he wants to link up with me and give me food. I at this point I didn't care about food. If I ate. It was not a big deal. So I was a little frustrated at that point that it kind of deterred my direction of travel, but it ended up working out for the best for me at that point. I didn't care about food at that point. I really kind of was hoping that Randall would wait an hour or so if he wanted to link up, but it just didn't work out that way.
Yeah, I really hated doing that, but I didn't want to screw you over, like just to so nobody could bitch about it. But luckily I was able to find a pretty good path. So you just had to travel down a little bit, and then by the time I got into that little gulch, I knew I was going to pull you back up my way anyway. So I didn't feel too bad about it. The problem was like I couldn't show the drama of that. Like I tried to show a little bit, and I was pointing at people like where Brent was, but that was pretty dangerous because if we're going to meet anybody, if we're even going near people, we park our vehicles very far away and then we walk. And so like I did that in season 1 too, to go meet Bill one time. And it's you still have to be careful once you start walking in there. So like I wanted to take this main trail that right about where we met. We met south of this little trail, and Brent's gonna come in on that in a little bit, but I wanted to just follow that trail to the end and then just jump off into that gulch because I knew I could just slide right down to you, and that would have been a lot easier. But once I got to that position and that drone was overhead and I couldn't figure out what we were doing the drone for, you know, I looked at my map and I looked up and I was like, shit, I cannot walk into that, because you can actually see plain as day on Brent's camera when he's pointing out at the avenue he's looking at. You would have seen me just freaking lollygagging right across the road, you know, because I'm a support staff. I want to be lazy, you know. I don't want to crawl around this shit. So, and I was looking at the map. I was like, fuck, man, I'm gonna have to rough it with these guys. So yeah, I just jumped down in that ditch with you. Here's a good question. So Brent's buddy, when you guys watch the episodes, does anything seem different from how you perceived it at the time?
Sometimes.
Maybe some continuity. That's about it.
Like how so?
You know, maybe where I thought something I perceived was happening at a certain time, you're showing at a different time, or I thought it was at a different time, or whatever. Just some continuity stuff like that. It could just be my perception of how things went.
Yeah, don't be trashing the show, dude.
No, that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah, so like when I was a survivor, there were certain things that you know, I saw. I was like, did it really happen in that order? But for the most part, it was pretty accurate. So today, when I was watching this episode, everything made a lot of sense, right? Because like knowing what I know, like how everything ends up, I'm like, fuck, you know, I remember getting on that LPOP a, you know, enemy sit rep where he's fucking like 600 or 500 meters to my southwest. And it's like, this is why I went all the way out to that, you know, westerly direction out that hill. I'm like, how did I end up there if he ends up over on the other side of the road? Like, it's completely, you know, different. But seeing the episode now, it all makes sense, right? He was out there, but the second I pick up to move that way, he's already making his way this way.
Yeah, so, we've already switched positions at that point.
Yeah. So I mean, it makes sense, you know, looking at it from the top down. So there is a lot. I will tell everybody there's a lot of stuff that can't make it the show, obviously, because each episode would be like fucking 2 hours long. So I tried to film, you know, as much as I could and narrate as much as I could to give Randall as much, you know, footage as humanly possible to get inside my head and what I'm thinking at. And I think he did a pretty good job of depicting that, especially in this episode.
Yeah, that's what I like about going through these videos. So first of all, it helps to set the GoPros to the right time and date. I didn't do that the first season, so that was a bummer. But I actually used the sunlight and where the sun was positioned to figure out the times. But y'all's is pretty accurate. Some of it might be out of sequence as far as like who I switched to, but I thought it was cool when I left it in there to where how it, like Brent, your strategy, you know, you're playing your strategy off of your last update and then your assumptions of what the survivor's doing. And so I wanted to show people how tough it is for you to make your decisions and how frustrating it can be because everything is kind of delayed.
Yeah.
You know, like you were getting ready to move from your second OP and you got that update and Jared was already on the move across the road and everything. And once again, somebody mentioned there was 2 600 meters in there. Well, that was the sit reps. And so they're not always exactly 600 meters, but it was about 400 something meters that he had already moved that way relative to where you were. So that's how it is. And yeah, your elevation gain spiked up when you started climbing up that hill, that second hill. Yeah, but that's all part of it, guys. Like this is you know, it's really cool to see their videos and see how they're dealing with this stuff. So I saw a good question pop up here. So Jared, what equipment, well, you guys can both answer this. What equipment do you wish you had as a survivor? Rope, shovel, tools, military gear?
Shit paper.
I don't think I was really wishing for anything different. I was just making do with what I had. I was given what I had, and that's what I had. So, I just had to make do with that.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think of, and again, I didn't when I was a survivor, I made it just before sundown. But if had the sun gone down, it would have been nice to have a warming layer, because all I had was the base layer with the cami top, and those temperatures got down into the teens when I was getting interrogated. So it would have been nice to have another warming layer, but you had to make do with what you had. I had fire making equipment inside my load equipment that I stole. So
yeah, I saw a question during the live premiere. Oh wait. Okay, I saw another comment pop up. I lost it. No, tracking. We answered that last time. We didn't get into tracking. It would take way too long. And you're not gonna find any ground spores out there in this terrain. Spore, by the way, is a German word. I like that we use the German word. Spore is the German word for track. Let's see. We're talking about guns. That's awesome. Oh, I wanted to ask, just based on what I went through, how much more would have stressed you guys out if you were in freaking a PT outfit, shorts, t-shirt, and tennis shoes?
We wouldn't have been able to move out there. Yeah, I don't think that would have been too great. So, I mean, if you want to go that route, you put us out there in freaking, silky underwear. So,
yeah, because the possible contestants in the future will be watching this stuff. I know they will be trying to get some intel, and I know at least one of the guys that's lined up for next time. He's watching this stuff, so I'm just saying.
You can put the survivor in an orange prison jumpsuit.
That's not a bad idea.
Well, so I think I talked about this on a previous stream, but I thought that's what you guys were going to do. I thought you were going to put us in, because you had asked what our sizes were for black BDUs for some reason. I still don't know what that reason was. And
that was for your jacket.
I was like, dude, these dudes are going to put us in black BDUs as like our prison outfit, and then we're going to have to, survive in that. So,
well, me and Stoker talked about that, and that's not a terrible idea, because that will make you be more inventive once you get out into the field. You're going to have to create your own camouflage. So that's a possibility. But like when I did my training, that's what we were in. We were in a PT uniform. We weren't in freezing temperatures, though. That's the difference. The coldest it got was maybe high 40s for us. And that sucks when you're in shorts and shit for a couple nights. But yeah, I was just wondering how much that would stress you out. I mean, I guess, Brent, instead of you making it up there in 11 and a half hours, you might would have made it in 2, because you would have been freaking Leroy Jenkins up there.
If anything, we got to figure out a way to slow down the pace to make it go into the wee hours of the night or into the next day. So
I think me and you, Brent, we're just so fast paced both days. Where the first season it was a little bit slower, a little more methodical, and you and I were just both fast paced this year.
Well, I tried to be. The environment had to say.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, with Jared's pace in the beginning, like it was looking like it was going to be game over.
I was ecstatic when I was watching this episode and he hit the manzanitas. I was like, yes, thank God.
Yeah, did you see where I put
that
little bubble of you in up there? Because you had just said, yeah, it looks like the terrain's all open down there, and Jared's like, what the shit is this? Fuck me. I can see the terrain's open down there.
Yeah. And then when it showed him walking across like a fallen tree over the manzanita, I was like, oh yeah, been there.
Yeah, Yeah, and then I come in there. Oh, Jared, I need you to come back down, dude. All that shit you climbed up. Yeah, go ahead and come back down. But I'm telling you, dude. So we're gonna mix all this shit around in future seasons anyway. It's not a big deal. But if you would have kept going that way, it would have been you. Well, Brent probably would have not ever found you. It would have been impossible because the terrain, the Manzanita, it's probably the worst in that whole area. But you would have no chance of making it. So I was like, I'm screwing him over. I'm making him link up with me. I'll give him an extra tip.
Yeah, I got an idea, Randall, for next season, man, is my buddy that does greenside tracking, freaking having a professional tracker tracking those survivors in addition to the other contestant as a hunter. Because the hunter is like, he's trying to be proactive like me. I'm trying to get in front of Jared and head him off, whereas a tracker would be behind him the whole time. So it's like putting pressure on a survivor to keep moving, because it's like the tracker's looking for spoor. It's going to take them a long time. Like nobody can track somebody and catch up to them unless that survivor stops for an extended period of time. So
yeah, that's the guy you told me about.
Yeah.
All right. Would he want to compete, or would he just want to support that way?
Oh, I don't know. I can't speak on. I would have to reach out to him and see. But I was just thinking about to myself, like how could that be incorporated? Because again, I can't see somebody that's tracking, even a professional tracker, being able to catch a survivor by following spoor and track, right? Because
you could always report to the hunter.
Yeah,
he could report direction of travel and where he's seeing spoor and sign at and everything else.
But that would keep significant pressure on the survivor to keep moving, and having to try to do anti-tracking techniques and all that stuff. And all the while, you still have the other contestant who's the hunter, trying to head him off and doing everything else that you're normally doing. So
yeah, that sounds good. I definitely want to expand the support to the hunter. But yeah, like you said, with a tracker, like the survivor's definitely going to have to stop for an extended period of time. That's all. That's all part of the like Hollywood conditioning. People think we got engines out there, sprinting, chasing each other. Doesn't work that way. Because you went to a tracker course, right, Brent?
Yeah, combat hunter, Marine Corps.
Okay, yeah. See, we didn't really do tracking. We just did anti-tracking, which means you have to learn a little bit of how tracking works. So, but it wasn't super in depth. But that was like the main thing. They're like, you just got to keep moving, man. And then of course with dogs, they're faster, but there's ways around that. Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out ways to get more people and different elements involved, and we'll keep evolving this thing. Engines. Yep, I said it. All right, guys, start throwing your questions in, and we'll wrap this one up. So let's see what we got. We got gun talk. Somebody's talking about Palmetto. That's where I'm getting my next gun from.
I just got one from them, AR-10.
Did you buy the one I was looking at? I had one in my cart and it disappeared all of a sudden.
Oh, really?
And then I went and looked for more, and they were all sold out. I was like, God, what is going on, man?
There was the one I bought was they do emails, I think, every day, and they have like a daily deal. And this was a daily deal. And I had bought, I don't have any AR-10s. I got M1As out the ass. I got G3s, FALs, but I never had an AR-10. So I was like, I think it's time I buy an AR-10. And I bought an AR-10 from Palmetto State Armory. The AR-10 with 7 magazines for just over $1,000. I mean, that's just phenomenal.
Yeah, 308, dude. Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Then I kind of changed my mind, but that's kind of one of my dream weapons is a freaking 308 and an AR platform. That's badass, man. You can reach out and touch stuff. All right, so SERE challenge stuff. All right, here we go. An important part of SERE is escaping barefoot. How would the 2 survivors have dealt with that? And then could you fashion footwear? How? All right, so guys, tell us about that terrain barefoot.
You might as well just sit still for the day.
So here's the thing: could we do it? Yes, of course. But what are we going to look like at the aftermath? It's not going to be pretty. We're going to be cut the fuck up. Your feet are probably going to be sliced up like crazy. It'd just be absolutely fucking miserable. And at that point, it's like, how much of that are you going to get on camera? Because I'll tell you right now, you start including like, hey, you need to survive in your underwear with no shoes on out in the middle of the wilderness. Oh, and by the way, you got to fight bears with a knife. Like, fuck you and your GoPro. Like, I'm trying to survive. So, be careful with all this like wish list Hollywood crap that you guys are throwing out there.
At the end of the day, we all have to go home and go back to work in one piece and be able to work.
Yeah.
That's what you think. Next one's for real. If you don't make it out, you ain't going home. Sucks to be you. Well, so that's the thing is like I have it to where they steal a bad guy's kit this time escaping. So theoretically, there would be stuff in there to use. They get a knife. You could fashion some little moccasins. There's they got cravats and stuff. So it's possible, but it would definitely suck big time. Like when I did mine, I've mentioned it before. We sat in a freaking flooded bunker for like 12 hours getting interrogated and stuff. So when we did get to escape, we had just sloggy freaking, PT shoes. And that was already bad enough, Yeah, but that's
So the guys that are putting out this wish list, they need to come out and we'll do that to them.
Yeah, I know. They don't realize it could be them in the future because I'm taking notes. Oh, that's a good idea. What's this guy's name? All right. So when I see that name pop up coming out, all right. 20-degree temps. We're waterboarding your ass.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, we're going to do that scene you sent us from James Bond the other day where you sit in the chair with no seat and we hit your nutsack with a whip.
Right.
That's our idea. That's our addition to the show for those people.
Oh, Casino Royale is what that scene was.
Yeah, we're gonna throw out some good old drug cartel stuff in the next one and some Tony Montoya stuff. We're gonna play it up a little bit. Oh yeah, so somebody was asking where Stoker was. He's out. He's doing Stoker stuff, which I got to give him a shout out. He's really busy, but he does a lot of behind the scenes stuff for me. Like he does most of these thumbnails and that preparing for this second season, he played a major role in that. So I really appreciate that. And by the way, like if you guys are looking at tactics and stuff about the SERE challenge, I think a lot of people get, what's going into this, what these guys are actually performing out there, especially this year both of them being experienced. But some people just say they're not learning anything. And I think that's on you. But if you want to see some actual tactics broken down and stuff, Stoker has done that as well on his channel. He's actually done a couple videos breaking down the tactics on basically how he won it and how he did so well. And so I think that was cool. Like, did that help you guys when you were out there with your GoPro taking your shots? Did that give you guys creativity while you were out there? Because I know, Brent, you went crazy showing off tactics and explaining things, but
okay, so yeah, I'm glad you said it because I actually told my wife this while we were watching this last episode. Because when I watched season 1, there's a lot of like, hey, wearing a GoPro on my head and just like walking through the woods. And like, to be quite frank, like that's not the most interesting footage, right? Like nobody really wants to watch somebody walk through the woods forever, right? So knowing that, I tried to do. Obviously, I did have a little bit of that, but that's why you probably see a lot of me, holding the GoPro, showing my face and narrating, because that was from me watching season 1 and thinking to myself as a YouTuber, like, what do I think people want to see most? And that's probably me talking to the camera and me explaining what my thoughts are while it's happening to make the most sense.
Yeah. Plus, you're another video creator, so I'm sure that kind of came into play as well. You kind of, it seemed like you kind of knew what I would be looking for shots and all that. But Jared, you pretty much explained a lot of things throughout too. Did you get that from the first season or?
A little bit. So I come into this. I'm not a YouTuber. I guess I am now because of you guys. I got my channel, and I actually did some filming today for my first official YouTube video, just an introduction thing. It was, I'm a very quiet person by nature, and it's hard for me to talk to nobody, more or less, So I kind of struggled, especially the first day, just talking to nobody, talking to the camera and showing myself. I don't think I showed myself a whole lot. I know I did a few times here and there. I had to really think about it when I did that. Some of the narration I did was wearing the camera on my head and just going through the manzanitas, saying fucking manzanitas 500 times a day in the day. So the narration part and trying to film myself out there was a little bit of a struggle for me, but that's not what I was used to doing. That's not what I was.
Yeah, well, you did explain yourself enough, and so, yeah, it makes sense. The first part of the series, I felt like I did a little bit more narration. That could have been because it was early on, and I felt like I needed to clear up some more stuff. But these last couple episodes, there's not a lot of narration. I try to keep it to a bare minimum because, yeah, like you said about being a YouTuber and talking to the camera, like it takes a little bit of narcissism to do what we do. But I honestly hate narrating. I can't stand it. So the more,
and I can't stand the sound of my own voice or even to see myself on camera. So it was a struggle for me. I think I did better by the second day.
No, it was all good, man. You guys definitely helped with that, like explaining what you were doing. So, and that's perfect because it's a lot more, what's the word? It's more realistic because instead of me narrating it, a month or two later, you're actually describing it while you're experiencing it and going through those emotions and stuff. So like, toward the end of this last episode, Brent gets that update that you've, flanked and gone the other way. And he's just like, fuck, so stuff like that's perfect. Cause, Bill, Coleman, he's another video guy, backpacker, but, he shot a lot of stuff where I was like, dude, you're not vlogging out there. I don't know what you're doing. He had twice as much content as Bill did, even though he was out there for like half the time. Shout out to Coleman, but
yeah, I've been talking with Coleman a little bit. He's been trying to help me with the Adobe Premiere and editing and stuff, just little stuff here and there.
All right, yeah, dude, he's the guy I usually hit up too when I'm messing something up in Corel. I usually bug him. But Bill, being the tactician and the military experience guy and another video creator in our genre, he was more in line with what we needed for the stuff. So he would explain all his tactics and stuff. And it's kind of a bummer that my skills were lacking a lot more in that season. So I couldn't really bring out as much as what Bill was teaching. So maybe we'll put that on the SERE Challenge OnlyFans. People can pay to actually learn the tactics. All right, guys, final question. Start getting them in. So, bureaucrat, shouting out your boys, Brent.
Traitor. You only get one chance with me, buddy. You burn that bridge, it's done. Done.
People are turning. I noticed because Brent has a big channel. A lot of people came in like on the Marine side, And I think because of how Jared has actually been performing, I've seen a lot more comments like, yeah, I'm rooting for Jared now.
Pretty bad when the Navy Pogue here can make Brent cry and go eat his emotional support crayons.
Well, yeah, I that was before I knew you guys had a little tea party out there in the bush. I didn't have no tea party with my little radio companion either. So
yeah, it's on the live premiere. Somebody was talking about you styling out there with your coffee and stuff.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I ain't even lying. Like, I'm sitting there and I poured my canteen cup, and you guys gotta remember, like, this is, Jared had already talked about, like, this is day 2, right? We had already gone. I had already been interrogated, done the whole survivor thing, and like got a little bit of sleep, over the night, but for the most part, not much sleep. So, having that coffee out there was fucking amazing, right? So I'm sitting there on the military crest of this hill, overlooking this big like valley area, fantastic spot, and nice, amazing, hot cup of Joe in my canteen cup. Great weather. It was like 50 degrees. And I was like, this is the life. Like, I actually don't want Jared to walk out yet. Like, I want to finish my canteen cup.
To be fair to Brent, on my first day out there as the hunter, whenever I linked up with the HQ truck, I was able to have some coffee too. I think Roy had a thermos of coffee out there, and I drank a canteen cup or 2 of coffee on my first day.
Well, yeah, Jared, we had to keep reminding you that you could use us for whatever.
Right.
Like, I'm like, Stoker, tell this guy he can have food. He can come to the truck. He can do whatever he wants. Because in the beginning, Jared was out there as the hunter, like crawling just as much as Brent. And I'm like, what? He's out there sucking, man. And then Brent's out there. He's been a grunt in the field for so long. He's up there drinking coffee in an OP, which like never happens in the grunt world. He's up there just hanging out.
I was Cadillacing, man. My little tripod stool. I was set. So
all right, so we got some environmental aspects here. So any rattlesnakes or dangerous animal encounters? So there's no the snakes aren't out this time of year, but you guys see
I didn't
anything
see
out
shit
there?
out there except for songbirds.
yeah, I didn't see anything. There was one clip from one of the episodes when I was Survivor that like the bushes start shaking behind me, and everybody was like, what's going on? What's behind Brent? So there was just these birds, and it's like you're out there wearing camouflage head to toe, and it's like the birds, if you're sitting out there, they're not used to human beings out there, so they're just doing their thing. And unfortunately, a lot of times you think it's the hunter.
Yeah. And it ends up being birds.
Yeah.
Brent, that one part you're referencing, that's when you were eating your power bar. And I saw that and I was like, all right, birds or a squirrel or something, but I'm not going to explain it or anything. I'm just going to leave it in natural and let people freaking figure it out. Somebody said it was Bigfoot.
Yeah.
That was me sneaking up behind you, Brent.
Yeah.
Come for me, big
well
boy.
it's funny, I had gotten one of those perk updates, right? And it's like, if you are about to move, you might want to hunker down for a minute. And like that was my intel, right? And I'm like, okay, so I'm laying there, and then all of a sudden, I got those little birds all in the trees. It's like, shh. I was like, fuck, he's right on top of me.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, so this guy asked about poison oak. Yeah, there is poison oak out there. I've only seen it in a couple patches out there. But this time of year, it's really a good time because like big game season has passed. So whatever was there has most likely been driven out. But whenever we do the checks, like we go, Stoker and I did it this year. We go check through the area and look for any, hazards we didn't pick up before. And part of that is driving through there with the quads, which makes a ton of noise. So around this time, the bears in our area, they don't really hibernate all year long where we're at. So that's interesting for people to know. But Usually they're out of our area anyway because they've moved higher up. We're only at about 3,200 up to 4,000 feet where this AO is. So they usually try to move up closer to Yosemite and everything and get up into the 6,000 to 8,000 elevations. But we do find bear poop out there consistently, and me and Stoker did find some right before this. So I was like, all right, cool. There's been a bear coming through here. There's there's mountain lion tracks out there, but pretty much if these guys run into anything, it's going to be so accidental. Like I don't ever foresee the hunter running into something because he's making noise and moving. And honestly, like truly wild animals, they don't want any. They really don't. The only thing I could see is like the survivor, if he's sitting for a long time, especially at night. That's when we might have something. But that's why we got the radios and trackers and our firearms. That's why I give the survivor a knife. It's not to make primitive fires and all this other shit. It's to defend himself. So Brent, what would you have done? Because you were talking about getting the knife in your loadout. Would you use a stick at night, or would you grab that K-bar I gave you?
So I actually removed that K-bar and attached it to my gear. I don't know if there's any footage of it, but I actually took that K-bar and I had a dump pouch on my belt, and I had the sheath go into the dump pouch, and then I took 550 cord and tied it onto the gear. So the thinking there is that if the 550 cord were to come off, it would just fall naturally into my dump pouch. I wouldn't lose it, right? But I moved it. You're damn right it did, because I didn't know what the hell was out there. So I told you I was going to go down fighting one way or the other.
Yeah. And guys, in case anybody's wondering, we have an emergency plan for everything, even wildfires, even though it's wet. But we have extraction plans, and I have it written into the rules that if the survivor has to, basically with a bear or mountain lion, you yell, show that you're human, and they're gone. I've done it before, but I wrote it in there, and pretty sure I briefed it that if they had to do that, we would kind of pause for a little bit. So that'd be a bummer if Jared's manning up to a bear and scares it off with his voice, and then Brent hears him yelling and is like, oh shit, he's right down there. All right, cool. Did I brief that this time, or did I leave that out too?
I
think we talked about it.
Yeah, and you made a comment about like if we encounter a fucking bear or something, like you're gonna halt the game, and nobody's gonna get captured based off the fact that they had to expose their position because they ran into a wildlife. I remember.
I think you said make sure we turn our cameras on if we do run into a bear, so they can see us die.
Yeah, that's key. All right, so this guy asked, would you guys do the challenge again?
Absolutely, yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I would absolutely like to do the challenge again. Not in the same AO though. And the reason I say that is because like knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have the same experience, right? I think it really made the challenge because I did not know the terrain. I did not know where the hell I was. And even on day 2, it was a completely different side of the property that I had not seen before. So if I did the challenge again, I'd want to be in a completely new area. It could be, the area that you took us to see that sunset, right? Like somewhere over there, like just not the same AO. I think that would make a better experience to get that, to replicate that experience again. Because now I already have the terrain in my head, and I'm like how I could get to that endpoint a lot faster than I did the first time, just because I had the experience of going through it. So
yeah, we pretty much have that whole AO memorized.
Yeah,
just from being out there for 2 days. At least
enough, right?
Enough, yeah. Not down to every single detail of it, but
and then
we can go out there. You could drop us off out there, and we would pretty much know right where we were at.
Yeah. And then we've talked about some ideas for season 3, and it's just based off the experiences from season 1 and season 2 that would enhance the game and make it more competitive. And I'm not talking about dropping us in the middle of the fucking woods in our silkies, just additional rules and guidelines that would, make the experience a lot better and more challenging.
Yeah, we're gonna change up the AOs and or directions. So, yeah, so that's a pretty interesting point, So you're dumped into the middle of nowhere, which is the whole point, and you've been blindfolded and all that, and all the harassment. So you're pretty reliant on those as a survivor, as the sit reps and your compass.
Yep, 100%. And like just to emphasize this, like guys, when I was a survivor, I had no comprehension of like how far the extraction point was. All I knew is like I had to travel northeast. That was it. And then even when I'm the hunter, I still don't know exactly where the extraction point is. And I still don't have a grasp on how far it is from start to end because, going through that challenge, I felt like I had traveled fucking 10 miles by the time I got there. So, I mean, it's that physically exerting that I just didn't have a grasp on like how far I actually traveled. So like that in my head now is like, oh crap, I know exactly how far that is. And I don't think it would be the same experience trying to do that again.
Yeah, well, you lose like the unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like Jared said, there's a lot of points in there where you could get, and you don't know where the hell you are. But as soon as you get to high ground and look around, then you got your bearings again. But yeah, that's somebody said dropped off in Detroit in your silkies. We could do like what's the Die Hard where he's on the streets with the sign in the beginning? Could drop you down in San Francisco with a freaking Trump sign.
Well, if that challenge encompasses any type of riddles like with the water jugs, I'm out. Jared's the winner. Math for Marines.
All they're going to do in San Francisco is throw dildos at us anyhow, so I think we'd be okay.
How many grunts does it take to screw in a light bulb? A 240 on cyclic rate of fire. Barrel change every minute.
Yeah, unless it's machine gun math and you're trying to ask me like how much suppression fire I can provide you, in X amount of time, it's no.
Yeah, there's math and then there's grunt math. Okay, which song did you guys find worse, Milli Vanilli or the Meow song?
Probably Milli Vanilli.
Yeah, probably.
I think I dozed off during the Meow Meow song.
Yeah, I put that's the thing with doing something like this. Those were 20 minutes long and I remixed those. So there's long segments of these songs in their whole. And then I would chop them up to like the same verse repeated, the same chorus repeated. And then like Milli Vanilli, I repeated the same part that got them busted live. The girl, it's girl, it's. And so I would repeat that like I would just do copy and paste on the editor and just fucking put it on and put it in there. But I really could not show, like I put up the time like 20 or 30 minutes later because like Jared, we repeated it a little bit because he pissed us off. But I couldn't play the whole song and everything because that'll get a copyright strike. So I had to, when I put the episodes together, I had to make sure I only showed just enough for people to understand what the song was and then just show it repeating. So otherwise, yeah, I mean, I would totally put the YouTube viewers through 30 minutes of the freaking Meow Make song, Grunt Proof remix. I would totally do that, but it'd get taken down. And then I've had people ask why there's no death metal and stuff, and we mentioned that before. Like, I knew Brent and Jared and kind of knew what would work on them, and I knew pop and commercials was a better way to go. I mean, I guess I could put on some modern pop country that might get to Brent a little bit. I don't know, Jared, what would have killed you the most? What would have been a song that would have made you tear your ears off?
I'm not sure. I don't listen to a whole lot of music. What I do listen to is a lot of metal, but
Yeah, so
nothing really bothers me like that.
So Cannibal Corpse wouldn't even hurt you. Like I said, in my school, they put Slayer on it. I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They're like, damn it. He's one of those. Put on the pop shit. And I got Britney Spears, and I think I got some NSYNC too, which, our generation, you can force yourself to get into that. So I got into that. And then I got some extreme techno shit, which almost made my head explode.
I think you should put on some like AOC speeches talking about social justice or something. Like that would probably be way more than any of this other garbage.
Yeah.
Or go to libs and TikTok or whatever it is and get some of those cuts and snippets and just loop them.
Yeah. In my training, we got some Bush speeches because I wasn't really big into politics back then, but I knew that they were going to get us on his public speaking abilities or lack thereof. And then we got the whole, this is the guy you're fighting for, like what Jared got. Randall likes NSYNC confirmed. Dude, you can jam out to some of that gay stuff every now and then. It's all right. You put in some Morbid Angel and you make up for it.
Just say no homo in the beginning.
Yeah. It's only gay if there's eye contact. So I was going to say, the next contestants we have lined up, me and Stoker, we're already planning their demise. So he knows one of the guys, and I'm kind of getting to know the other guy. So if they're watching that, boo-hoo. But we're getting some intel on them, and it's going to get intimate on them. We're going to up the PsyOps games. We're going to mess with these guys. So we can't add in all these changes every single season. That's kind of the problem. We kind of have to build it as we go, because if we add too much, it's just way too much to fail. And it's not a Hollywood show. There's no like timeout resets and reshots. It's like, all right, well, Brent fell off the back of the quad. We fucked that one up. Game's over. All right, so do you guys have any final comments? And I'll look for some last questions.
I just I appreciate seeing the episode and like how everything's panning out and the maps, and like it all makes sense now, and just kind of seeing how everything's unfolding. So it's really eye opening and interesting. So
definitely, it's interesting to see in Brent's perspective as opposed to mine. Where he's at compared to me, and how close or how far we are from each other because I know where I'm at in the episode. I know where my location is, and it's kind of neat to see his perspective, how close he is and what he's thinking, or how far away he is, or whatever. That's kind of a neat thing to see, because the whole time you're out there, you're just kind of guessing where he is and what he's thinking.
All right. So I got the final question. As you guys are going out there on your first day versus your second day, you have assumptions and perceptions, and what you think tactics are going to be like, what you think the terrain is going to be like, basically everything you're assuming going into it. How does that change going into day 2 for both of y'all?
Go ahead, Jared.
I was going to say, obviously on my side, it enabled me to move a lot faster through the AO in the beginning. I knew where I wanted to be and where I didn't want to be based off the first day. I know if I was down there on the south side of the AO in those manzanitas, it was going to be a long, slow day. And based on what I saw that day on my first day, the northern side, the northwestern side of that AO was a lot more clearer. And that's why I chose to go to the northern end on my second day to skirt around that northern side to be able to gain a lot of ground fast.
All right. What you got, Brent?
So I went into being the hunter kind of assuming that his experience was going to be exactly the same as mine in terms of like what he was going to encountering. I had no idea that it was going to be a lot more open on that, that northwestern side. And so, I went into it thinking like, hey, he just escaped. He's going to be moving slow. He's going to have to sit down and go through his gear and all this other stuff. It's going to buy me time. In reality is he was moving quickly because of that terrain was so much more open. And that was a complete monkey wrench in my equation because that wasn't my experience on the previous day. So I had to kind of adjust fire. I had to get up on that main MSR and essentially move at a fast pace just to catch up to them and then get past them. So, I was relieved when he started hitting the Manzanitas because it was a completely different experience that I was used to from the first day. And I was basing my whole plan off of my experience from the first day.
All right. Sounds good. With that being said, guys, we'll wrap this up. And I'm going to tease episode 9 just a little bit. So we're getting close to the end, and we're getting down to the make it or break it time. And so there's going to be some close calls. As you can see, Brent has decided to start chasing some of his sit reps. So you guys will see how that how that plays out very soon. Until then, thanks for watching. Thanks to these guys for joining us. And till next week for the wrap up. See you guys in episode 9 and then the chat after that. Take care, everybody.
Sounds good.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, bud.